Exploring the shoreline of the Bay of Fundy, you'll come across these stunning outcrops of red. They're deposits of Triassic mudstone mixed with Jurassic sandstone, laid down starting 220 million years ago, now being ceaselessly worn down by the wind and tides into natural sculptures. Like here on the south shore of the Minas Basin at Burntcoat Head. Incidentally, the very spot where the Bay of Fundy's highest tides in the world were actually measured. It's so easy to get swept up in the grandeur here that you miss what's right under your feet. In this case, tiny holes hiding one of Canada's rarest animals taking full advantage of the malleable rock. They begin life as free-floating larvae, just one of thousands of planktonic species at the mercy of tides, currents, and predators. But after about a month, they start to settle down. They grow a specialized muscle called a foot, using it to probe the ocean floor for a place to put down roots. And they've got some very specific needs. Oxygenated water, like the kind constantly churned by the Bay of Fundy's massive tides, and red mudstone, like the kind at Burntcoat Head. When they find that magic combo, they use their newly grown foot to dig straight into the rock. As they age, grow, and start to form a shell, they keep burrowing deeper, meaning their hole naturally becomes conical, until finally they arrive at their adult form, the Atlantic mud pittock. And if the name seems a little ignoble, they're also known as fallen angel wings for the shape of their shells. Pittocks are bivalves related to scallops, clams, and mussels, which is a bit odd because the defining feature of a bivalve is that they grow this big strong shell for protection. But do you need that when you've already got a shell of solid rock? In fact, pittocks do seem to be evolving in the direction of who needs it. Their bodies grow so big they can't physically retract them into their shells anymore. And those shells have become so brittle that it's quite rare to find them. The action of waves against rocks usually pulverizes them. Their conical homes certainly do protect them, but it also means the pittocks have trapped themselves. They spend their whole lives, on average 11 years, in their burrows. And that means they've got to do everything through that one tiny hole. To eat, they extend a siphon out into the water to filter feed, catching organic matter as it floats by them. And they have a second siphon to expel waste. Same issue with breeding. Colonies of pittocks need to release sperm and eggs into the open water and just hope they find each other. To someone on a stroll at Burntcoat Head, the unique, secretive lives of pittocks make them nearly invisible. You'd have to look out for tiny holes in the rocks or watch the tide pools for little puffs as they clear sediment out of their burrows. But their very particular habitat also means that this overlooked little bivalve is one of the rarest animals in the country. Their need for that specific mix of well-oxygenated water and red mudstone keeps them constrained to very specific spots in the Minas Basin. So these red outcrops that started forming 220 million years ago are now hosting an incredibly fragile community. Habitat for the Atlantic mud pittock is a whopping 1.84 kilometers squared. That's all they've got to work with in the whole country. It's only recently that we've woken up to just how fragile they are. In 2017, they were finally listed as a threatened species. Now, there are ongoing efforts to preserve and protect them. At Burntcoat Head, stretches of the shoreline are fully off limits to give them free rein. And the battle isn't just against us encroaching on them. Climate change is bringing more frequent and severe storms that are liable to smother and destroy their red oases. And it's going to be really tough to assess if they're even recovering. I mean, how do you accurately and non-invasively count a population buried in the rock? For now, the best the rest of us can do is to always mind our feet when walking on the ocean floor, and remind ourselves that more often than not, we're walking on someone's home. If you're enjoying these videos, consider throwing me a few bucks a month on Patreon. It is the best possible thing you can do to ensure that they will keep coming.